trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship. Time to be free.
Hey, what's up, guys? Let's get right into it. I finally figured out the webcam, and well, I think I figured out some other things as well. Maybe making the music a little bit less quiet, as I kind of reviewed it last time, and it was a little bit too quiet. So I'm pretty happy about that. Apparently, I was echoing this whole time. Are you guys all good? Can you hear me okay? Everything's working fine. According to my systems, it says that everything should be correct volume and stuff. So let's continue right where we started off. If you guys can hear me and everything's all set. So first thing we're gonna do is look at what we review what we did last time. So we did two basic columns. They would have been Corinthian, but unfortunately we didn't want to do the tops because that would have just been too many triangles. And like I'm saying, I'm trying to teach you guys a basic style of building, not something that you want to necessarily put on a showcase, but it's functional. And that doesn't mean it can't be beautiful. I think we made some really beautiful columns. Obviously, this one's just a simplistic version of this one, and you use them variants with each other, and that's how you get things going. So we're going to start with moving into kind of a more complex structure. So we're trying to imitate a certain design, right? So we're trying to do the Holy Sepulchre. And I'm just trying to pull up. See if I can get this to. So we're moving on to going above these specific pillars, and we're going to connect them with arches, but it's not as easy as it could be, right? Because if I wanted to connect these with arches, I could do that pretty simply, right? So I could just put, let's just show you guys a quick trick real quick, with how you just make an arch between these two. If this was a normal, right? And that's why this is labeled advanced structures, because this is not going to be a normal arch. And for those that weren't here last time, this is my building startup kit that I recommend we use for building. It's got all the approved textures in it and shapes and things that you can use. You don't need anything else except for this to create really quality buildings. So that's going to be linked in the description. It's already linked in yesterday's episode's description. Hi, puppy. So I'm just going to show you guys what this would look like in a basic arch, right? This is the lazy way of doing it, but it doesn't look bad, right? So I just take a big cylinder like this, and I negate it into this. And when I do that, it creates an arch, right? That doesn't look terrible. I mean, we're going to do something more detailed than that. We're going to make it look better, but this is just for the sake of just experimenting with it a little bit. So pretty basic. It's not, I mean, I don't even mind this. I think it looks fine. I think it looks good. We're going to play with something a little bit more detailed, even though this is fine. But here's the issue, okay? We're making a round structure, right? A round structure. And in order to do that, this needs to be arched. Like, this needs to be curved itself. So you almost have to do a double arch. And the way to do that is when it gets more complicated, right? And that's why you kind of have to use unions, and you can't just go with bricks, even though I kind of prefer to make arches with bricks, just to stencil them out and makes them look a little better. But for this specific one, we can't necessarily do that because of the way the Holy Sepulchre is designed. So we're going to have to do it in a circular form. And the way we do that is by curving in on this, like I said. And one way we can do that, just to give a little pretense, is to actually make an even bigger cylinder behind it, like this. And then negating that into it as well. Like that. I mean, obviously that was done really poorly, but... that's just what I have right now, as far as how would I do that. Obviously, that's kind of a sharp cut angle, but gets the job done. I mean, the cylinder actually doesn't really have completely rounded edges on it. When you look at it when it's huge, you can see it like it's made up of a lot of different flat lines, kind of making something that's not really even a circle. It's like a giant, not a circle, because obviously the sides are flat and it's not round exactly. It's close, which is why you can't get that perfect, circular shape, which is what we want, unfortunately. But what we can do is make it look good enough with this. So unless you're really nitpicking, you're not going to be able to tell. Now, what also we're going to have to do is we can't line these up exactly, right? We can't line these up exactly, and if we do, it's obviously not going to come around into a circle. It's just going to go on straight forever, right? And so, one thing we could do instead of all this circle nonsense, right? Instead of all the circle nonsense, we could do something like this as a substitute. I'll show you the problems with it when I'm done, but as a substitute, you could do something like this, where you just, using the pattern tool I shared with you all yesterday, using the pattern, again on Build Edit plugins from 2013, not 156, doing that, right? And then that creates it, and that actually doesn't look bad, but the issue is you're going to have double layered columns doing this, right? And so there's a way to avoid that. You can go like this and put this in the middle of them. Okay, that doesn't look bad, but does it look perfect? No, it doesn't look perfect. And then, you're going to have an issue with the perfection of it, and personally, I don't really like that mentality. So we're going to try to do it the right way. And you know what? If it doesn't work out because the measurements are just too advanced, then we might have to go back. Is my FPS not working out too well? Let's see. My FPS should be 60. I don't know. If anybody else has FPS issues, let me know. Double checking the size, making sure this is the size I want. Yeah, it's a little bit, maybe a little bit bigger than what I'd like, but that's okay because we'll make up for it. We'll make up for it by doing some work at the top with shortening it so the whole building doesn't look too massive. And the thing with building a condensed city like I'm doing with Jerusalem here is that the whole thing with building the city of Jerusalem or just any city, you can't replicate the city in its entirety unless it's a village on Roblox. It'd just be too big. It's not practical. So instead, we are going to build a condensed version of the city, and the condensed version is going to have all the most important aspects. Now, the planning phase of the building is just as good as anything because that takes spatial visualization, and that takes planning. And so obviously planning to explain it, but the planning is just important. You can't just sit here and start building. You have to have a plan in place. For me, the Holy Sepulchre is going to be about life size, but the other things are not. Like, they're not going to be as many buildings as there would be in actual Jerusalem. So we're going to try to find exactly the size first we want this dome building to be. Like, how wide do we want it to be? Let's try 2 rotations in. Again with 5.625. I'm pretty sure I can just eyeball this and it's fine. As far as if that lines up there. You see, the issue is that it only takes on the second one instead of the first one. That's interesting. So, let's see. This is actually one of the more difficult parts. What I'm actually going to do is something new I haven't tried. I'm going to replace these pillars with rods. So, not forever. But essentially we're going to have something at the base of it that we know we can center a pillar perfectly on later to replace it. Because there's going to be some pillars and there's going to be some stuff that's not pillars. So this is going to be our rod here. And for all intents and purposes, this is going to be the construction of this. I like to use bright green because it sticks out the most. Sort of like in a green screen. Moving this to 1 stud so I can get an exact measurement of how much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little bit too close. About perfect. And again, do we want 2 rotations? I think that was the right size. Jesus, cat. Holy shit. And the cat just vomited behind me. That's heartwarming. So for it's kind of hard to explain what I'm doing here. I'm trying to figure out how to make sure these align properly and can join together as if we were doing a like a giant cylinder ourselves. So these need to be the same size. Looks like they'll be around 12.75 each. 12.8. God damn it. That's pretty close. That's almost acceptably close. So again, I'm using these rods as a way to kind of tell exactly the placement I want of them. Ah, that's so annoying. So these longer pieces are acting as an extension point for those rods, and that is definitely close enough. Watch me do 30 here. Connects perfectly. You won't see much error. The error doesn't matter too much. It's more about principle. Where's my original one? There it is. And now, so I know, since I know that these are going to be lined up perfectly, I actually can delete those. Do 30 of these. And there you go. Now I have my base rods here. So on each of these is going to be a certain type of pillar. Now there's a sorry, I was just checking your guys' comments. There's a base column now, so there's a essential basis where I'm going to put each one of these columns. And so this has to line up. This is 3 by 3. It needs to line up exactly in the middle of this 8.5 by 8.5. I'll show you how you do that. I might have actually just eyeballed that perfectly. Holy shit. Wow, I think I just eyeballed that. Just fucking, that never happens. It's probably going to be one, yeah, it's a little off. Just a tad. So one of the ways you can measure these is by using this method. I have a measurement brick on this side. I'm going to make it exactly the distance to that. Then I'm going to copy it over here. And you can see they're the exact same. They're the exact same. Like, this one's clipping, this one's not. So you can just tell. And this is the part where building can just become tedious. And you're like, well, why don't I just, fucking go with it and not care? And it's like, yeah, you can do that if you want. But you're going to run into mathematical errors that are actually going to take you more time later. And if you don't solve them, your building's just going to look terrible. So we're going to have the same... So this one might be okay. Yeah, and I eyeballed this side perfectly. So each rod needs to be exactly in that position on the pillar, right? And that otherwise the it's gonna be off measurement, and then you're gonna have problems with when we put our arches on top of it. The arches are gonna be exactly measured, so that's gonna be an issue. So the question is, you know, how do I actually get this on here, right? How do I actually know on these pillars when it's exactly lined up? And I'll show you. So we're actually gonna edit these pillars a little bit. And we're gonna actually build in the measurement device right to them. And we can delete it later. Basically, I'm going to outline in a very clear color. Like this. I'm going to name these. It's important to name a lot of things for later. Name these delete for later. So now, all I have to do to make this fit perfectly is make sure this fits exactly on that. And of course it's not going to, because this is what happens when you don't. This is why it's really frustrating to not have things measured exactly, because now I'm going to have to go and manually do that, and it's going to be tedious and it's going to be awful, but it's what I got to do. So in this instance, I'm going to have to... That white line right there means that it's aligned perfectly. So if you're not seeing a white line, that means it's not... It doesn't have perfect alignment. And sometimes it shows the white alignment, even though you can see a crack through it, which just tells you it's not perfect. And this is the part that just... And I'm not even getting the white lines, but it may not be possible to. But there you go. That's exactly aligned right there on that one. So I'm going to add the exact same delete bricks onto this column. And when you add a free brick onto something like this, it actually just generally immediately aligns, which is actually, you know, it'd be terrible if it didn't. So that's actually one of the redeeming factors about it. But when you're doing stuff that's precise like this, it's... And now, because I wouldn't use the pattern tool per se for the columns this time. I'm gonna actually have to go around and line them up perfectly on each one I want a pillar on. But luckily, looking at my Holy Sepulchre references, let me just count. It would be nice to have some schematics. Probably could have found them if I did a little bit more research. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll start with the first 3. That's where this will be right here, is during those like right next to those first three. You can see little leakings and stuff like that. And hey, if you want your buildings to be subpar, then you can just be okay with those. I personally am not. And certainly anybody that takes themselves seriously doesn't just let those slide. Let's see, is that good? Nope. I missed a crack on this side. It says it was aligned, but it wasn't. It almost is like it's too big, but that wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm going crazy. It is too big. I hate how that's a thing. Should not be how it's going right now. Hello. I am legendary. No, cat. No. Get out of here. This cat's evil. Likes to attack me. Just jumps on my computer, sits on my lap, and if you try to move it, it attacks you. It's great. So I have to build a barricade. Okay, I'll try to realign this one more time. Okay. This might be one of those errors that's unfixable. Oh, I did it. Almost. Yeah. There's just the slightest bit of a crack. And when you're doing things by X, as we call it, when you're moving things by X, which is just basically freelancing it up here, when you have this unchecked up here, that means you're going off an X scale, which is really difficult and takes forever, which is why I really don't recommend using that unless you're doing it to correct something. I hope you guys are all excited by that. Outstanding content. And let's see. Like I said, you're trying to eliminate any obvious big cracks. With this, you can't align it perfectly because it's just not possible. It's pretty close. I'll have to work. Yeah, credenzio's. Good man. Okay, it's actually semi-symmetrical. So I kind of messed up. I shouldn't have done it. If I want my point out to be here, there's actually a opening right here to another chamber. So those will be deleted. Shucks. Didn't say I never made mistakes. You should link that plugin to me in DMs in Discord, unknown, and I'll take a look at it. Did this just, like, give me a perfect alignment? No. Never. When would it ever just give me... When would it ever just give it to me like that? It's always going to make you work for it. Oh, it's the same situation where it's at an angle that you can't even correct. So let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think I did too many. Done more research. Yeah, I think I got about 2 times as many of these as I need. And honestly, that's like a beyond the amount where it would be acceptable. So I'm going to have to redo the rods. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, I see. I just made the whole thing too big. It's too large. See, this is why scale is important. The pillars are fine. The pillars are a good size. I just made it too large. Wow. Bodhi! Oh, that's so gross. The dog just ate the cat's throw up. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, Jesus. How can you work in these conditions? Holy shit. Wow. seen it all now. Now this is going to be off. Although I don't need to redo the pillar bullshit again. What size was it? I forget. It was like... I think I agreed it was 13.7. 13.8 it was. It's not my dog. Well, I want 10. Yep, perfect. That was actually the perfect fix. Didn't take too long. That's the exact size we're gonna want. Make 20 of these. Oh, shit. It's not lined up perfectly. Oh! That's 13.5. This is 12.5. One of you guys should have pointed that out. They need to be both be 13. Well, that's... Thank God, because... I'm glad we figured out why. It's like little math stuff like that you forget, and then it really screws you over later when you're doing precise measurements. Ooh. Wow. Why is that happening? Should not be happening. That doesn't make any sense. This one, 13. This one, 13. How much space do I have left? Two studs and about 2.5 studs of space. So if I add these 1.25. Didn't want to do this. It looked like the measurement was good. Are you guys learning anything from this? Like, this is not the fun part, but it's the necessary part, if that makes sense. Oh, and it made it worse. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, thank you. Oh, Morven's here. Hello, Morven. Is that literally the same exact? So what is it? How do I change that then? Okay. .25 divided by 2 is 0.75. Wait, no, it's not. 1.25 divided by 2 is 0.6... 625? I don't want to go into third decimal place. No, don't want to do 0.62. If I can't solve this, I might just deal with it. Because there's a gap anyway. I would never do that in a situation where there wasn't a gap. Like, this doesn't even line up. This doesn't make sense. This is what I mean by gap. Okay. Like, this would be the gap right here. If I deleted this, like, this is your gap right here, and this leads into the other room. Let's see if it matches the general size. Could be close enough. But the other issue is that these two don't. Like, these two don't line up. There might be more issues than one. Yeah, that's a big issue. So we're going to have to figure out a way to troubleshoot this problem. I definitely think we're going to try that one more time. I think I have to divide it in half again. Okay. 6.25. It is 6.25. Okay. Might cheat a little bit here. $13.6. Can I do it any lower than that? Oh. Wow. That's going to be clutch if this works. Usually didn't. Must have changed something. Is it? There it is. $13.625. Oh, wow. Yeah, I know, unknown. I get so many DMs that I usually lose them, and so I checked Discord a second ago, and I read yours, and I realized I don't want to read yours because then I won't download it later. What? How is that possible? Let me think this through. So if I'm actually increasing the size of it. Is this gap bigger or larger? Oh, it's like the same. It's exactly the same. That doesn't make any sense. I think I need to change the angle. This might make it too small. I don't want it to be too small. Yeah, that's it's way too small. It's tiny. Even though for some reason it worked this time. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's a good question. This gap needs to be perfect. I'll show you what the error is. Okay, theoretically, All right. I need this brick here to line up exactly with this, right? But watch, it's not going to. I'm even making this pink. Okay. But it doesn't, see? This needs to end right there. So I think the issue is an angling issue. And I'm going to have to solve it by re-angling. Because the size is not mattering. If anybody told you size matters, it doesn't. So I'll just give it a little twinge here. I really don't like messing with rotation grids. It really bothers me. I think it causes you more problems in the future, but I don't really have a choice. I tried everything else. See, it's closer now. So it was that was the issue. Oh, I'm an idiot. This is kind of like what the cross was last episode. And now I've over-rotated it, see? So that's really going to be a thin line about how much I can actually rotate this before it... This is going to be the ticket. Low on the dice for me. Ah! Okay. Not giving up. It's actually creating... I think I over-rotated by a ton. Let's see. Guess I'd want 18 more if it was going to be 10. How many of these do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Keep this last one to see if we're making progress now. Where is it? Now I have 21. I rotated it too much. It's so frustrating. Almost. Too much. I gotta go one little microfiber back. He was in between the last two. Just one little. There it is. Alright guys, if this doesn't work, it's literally impossible. I mean, that's pretty fucking close. Pretty fucking close. That might be it. That might have to be the one. I think I got the rotation. I think I gotta fix the size again. Yeah, it's a little bit fucked up. Here it is. Wow, that's pretty fucking close. I mean, see, but if I go back one, I'll even show you guys. I'll go back one, and it'll be too much. Because it doesn't actually let you rotate. It doesn't actually let you rotate that exactly the way I need it to. See, watch, I'll rotate it just one hair like that. It'll be off by like a mile now. Yeah, see? So I gotta rotate it back. Off by a mile again. See, I shouldn't even fucked with it. I should just been happy with it. Now I'm gonna have to re-find it. Okay. I'm going inside. I need to go outside. Which way was I just going? Back towards the inside. Good, good. And then back one more to the outside, and that was the one we were at. Am I subverting your guys' expectations of what you thought this would be? Like, oh, I thought he'd teach us how to build, not just fuck with this pillar for like 6 hours. I thought I'd actually get this done. Yeah, that's close enough. That is literally the definition of close enough. Okay? Other people would not accept that, but I guess I'm not as much perfectionist as I thought. And when we go one more, literally barely not. Barely not perfectly in line, so it's fine. Everything's fine. That's what we wanted. Now we have the fucking shape. We could have figured this out at first if I'd just been smart. Yay, celebrate. We did it, though. So now we can add the pillars and then conclude this, because I need to study, and this just gave me fucking cancer. I'm good. Cruise. See, this is the boring stuff. This is the stuff you actually need to learn, you know. It's the kind of stuff that doesn't necessarily come just with intuition. You have to do trial and error and trial and error. And because I've been building for so long, I have that. I have that experience that you need. It's not even that big, fuck. Okay. That's the one we're deleting. Something like that's gonna happen. Keep this over here just in case I fuck something up. So there's gonna be an opening into the room that goes to another room here. Don't avoid this shit. This is just temporary. I'm just trying to see how it would look. I did fuck something up. See, now that I went off rotation, I can't freelance it. So I have to... So stupid. I have to essentially use the pattern tool now. Otherwise, everything will be off by a mile as far as rotation goes. So I double gapped them. Oh, luckily I named them. That was smart of me. So I want a pillar 1. I want a pillar 1 and a pillar 1. I want 2 more of those over there. And I want 2 more pillar 2s. Yeah, there's one. There's one. There's one. Okay. Now I'm going to go delete the ones I don't want. So I'll tell you how I do that. Basically, they come in rows of 3. Separated. There's like a mathematical formula that we're using that'd be helpful, but unfortunately they don't do shit. 1, 2, 3, 2 off. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 off. Maybe that's the way they do it. 1, 2, 3, 2 off. 1, 2, 3, 2 off. In the back, what are they doing in the back? What are they doing in the back? 2 off. Okay. Well, it has to be 3 off in the back, so it has to be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 3, 1 off. Okay, so I'm going to mark these 3 are staying. These 2, are these the ones that are in dead center? No, there's only 1 in dead center. Yeah, okay, so we'll do these back 2. Color them purple to mean that we are not using a pillar on them. And then also with these back 3, I believe. Or maybe I just do, oh yeah, I'll just do this back one, it'll look better. You know what? I'm gonna do, to make up for it, I'm gonna do that. Just to stay consistent. There we go. So we're going to do a certain strategy. Not a pillar 2 in there, which there needs to be. So I guess I'll do pillar 2 in the middle of that. Or I'm sorry, pillar 1, pillar 2. Okay, so we go 1, 2, 1. I'm sorry, 2, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2, which I can't do because there's not a pillar 1 right there. So I do pillar 2, pillar 1, pillar 2, and I'm going to do no pillar here. I guess that there would be no pillar there. I'll say part count. No pillar here either. And then no pillar here. And then I'll do, instead I'll do 1, 2, 1 on this here. 1, 2, 1. So I delete that. These should be clear. Don't want to double stack bricks. So 2, 1, 2. There we go. Theoretically, these should not be overlapping. That one was. This one, not that one. That one was. About this one? Nope. This one? Nope. Cool. So that's our pillar outline there. Starting to actually shape up as a structure. So to get that actual right measurement, I had to spend a lot of time you know, and you have to evaluate, you know, is the time doing that worth it? A lot of people say no, and that's the answer to your question, unknown, is would you rather have one that looks decent and that's rushed, or would you rather have one that is highly detailed and looks great? I'm always going to pick the detailed one, personally. You know, that's me. And I'm not the most detailed builder either. There's people that are way more picky than me. So, personally, you just have to decide, and, you know, that's just going to be your choice. And whatever your choice is, you know, just live with it. Just deal with it. Just embrace it. Because, I mean, personally, it's not the end of the world, you know. It's not the end of the world if you want to build a rush place. Like, it's fine. I'm just telling you, you're not going to... Don't expect the same accolades, you know. And, you know, a lot of people don't care about building on the site. And it's sad. You know, people just care about scripts, and that's definitely true. People care about scripting way more than they care about building. And, but to me, that doesn't mean it's more valuable. And to me, building's always going to have an important place, and it's always going to be important. And so, to answer your question, you have to choose. You have to decide. I'm not doing a rush tutorial, right? I'm taking somewhat of a middle ground depending on how you look at it. My middle ground means that to some people, I'm going to look like I'm rushing it. And to other people, they're going to be like, oh, he could be spending a lot more time on this. You know? Fair points. Fair points on both ends. And you just have to decide, you know? I can't give you the answer. Now I'm in the flow. Now I don't want to stop. Even though I have a big exam coming up tomorrow that I need to study for. I studied for all day before this. But I wanted a little building break. Guess if it goes a little over, it's fine. It's already going a half hour over. I just wanted to get to a certain progress point. And I haven't yet. So keep going until I feel like that progress point has been met. I'm just quickly making these look uniform because personally it bothers me. Get away with not doing it, but it bothers me. So this is going to be like a hybrid pillar, kind of combination of the two, that I need to build the massive archway that leads into the other room. But we're actually not off plane. So even though this is going to, how do you say, it's not going to be perfect, it's going to be well good enough. I think Dan left me. He's the only person I was building here for. He's gone. Let's just see if this measurement's correct. Did I actually get it? Yeah, I did. Wow. Dan. Only person I'm here for. Only person I care about in the whole world. Cool. Now, for these other pillars, super simple. Show you. You guys are going to hate this. Remember how long we spent yesterday building those pillars and me saying, you know, you could just make a fucking block if you want, but you're not going to get accolades. Now I'm going to go back on that. I'm making a block for a pillar. It's been one day and I'm already going back on my no block policy. Oh, all these need to be realigned. I forgot. I'll do that in a minute. And if you guys want to look up pictures of the Holy Sepulchre, you can kind of see what I'm exactly trying to do. I'm more of a toon girl myself. What a troll. Always been the troll. Morven's always been a troll. Morven's like rammer material troll. Oh, we have a little difference here. Yeah, that's that slight rotation difference I was talking about. Just barely, just a smidge, and that is going to affect our arches, which is interesting. I guess we could do a sort of like hybrid way of doing the arches, which will be able to correct for that instead of. It's going to take longer, but that's going to definitely be a thorn in our side. I'll tell you that right now. Oh wow, it's almost, yeah, that's a lot. It's 0.15 off. That's actually a lot. It's not good. But even if it's off by like a smidgen here, when you add the pattern tool, it's going to be off by, you know, a smidgen times 15, which is a pretty big smidgen. Now this one's going to have to be the one that I rotate. Fuck, I hate this. I hate doing this so much. Not building. I hate doing this gimmicky rotation. Oh, this is going to be awful. Oh, you know what? I can hack it. About to insert a hack. Rotation. No rotation, really. No, there's definitely a rotation. Where are you? Orientation. That's not very politically correct. Orientation. My music went away. That's why my flow was getting off. Hope I really fucked with you guys there. Nah, no road battles are more important than this. Cool trick, if you do Alt L, I'm sorry, Control L with the move, it changes it from the default XY axis to the one that the brick is currently laying on, which really, really helps when they added that. You can do it for models too. So I didn't even have to play the guessing game with that one because I just remembered I could just adjust the rotation. Which is honestly, I'm not going to go back because that'd be idiotic at this point. But remember when I was rotating that green brick over here and I was trying to get it the exact and I just called it good? I could have just actually gone into the orientation here and just edited it as much as I wanted because I would have gotten the exact measurement. But I didn't because, you know, I was being stupid at the time. Sorry, Dad, I'm playing Roblox right now. Unfortunately, you can't use orientation with models. So that's why you have to use these freelance tools here. Using the X tool as I described earlier. Luckily, these are only off by one rotational axis. No. So actually, I can do a pattern on this one, and it should work. Oh. Yeah, sometimes pattern is a little bit finicky. That shouldn't happen. Yeah, it's being a big smart thing, and by that I mean it's being stupid as hell. I really wish I'd just done that earlier. It would have saved us a lot of trouble, but that's what I said, it's trial and error, you know, you gotta... Sometimes you gotta live with your mistakes and correct them later, but most of the time, that's not gonna be the way you want to do it. I think this time we'll be fine, but... generally, not the best practice. What is this song? It's giving me a headache. I actually don't like this type of music. It's just what I thought you guys might be into. I think it's okay. It's, you can vibe to it, you know. This is literally the same fucking thing. Plays the same song again. Oh, shit. There's a pillar 2 left in there. Just blasting through these now. Yeah, see, this should be 90%, but you see, it should be on a 90-degree rotation, I'm sorry. But you can see that it's actually rotating on its 89.97. So that is one of those mathematical like things that carry over and cause you issues later. Like this one should be at 0, it's at negative 0.5. And so it's like if you can't fix that, then you're just gonna have to hope it you can live with the consequences later. But it's fine. You don't need to have a mathematically perfect building. What's important is that it doesn't look like you did measurements wrong. Like anybody eyeballing this isn't going to be able to tell that this is 3 decimals of a degree off, right? Who actually used coordinates? I don't know what you mean by that, Bob. What do you mean by that? You use a wheel. I don't know what that means. Coordinates 0.67 on axis coordinates is too confusing. I don't know what you mean. Bobby boy. Not sure. We're almost there, guys. We're almost to the exciting part, and actually we're closer to making this look like a structure than you guys probably think at this point. Once we get these first measurements down, it's actually pretty much downhill. So that we're done. We've aligned the pillars, and it took, an hour and 45 minutes. That's just how it goes, And if we'd known what we were doing a little bit sooner, it probably wouldn't have taken that long. But sometimes it takes that long to figure out what you're actually doing and trying to actually become acquainted with, like what you actually want to be doing here. And sure, it's frustrating and it's annoying and all that business, but it's part of it. I don't do it. This isn't enjoyable, particularly in the moment, but when you see it when it's done, that's when it's rewarding. So we're gonna start on our arches. Actually, gonna take the perfect example, which is the first two. Can delete these now. Okay. This is what I'm gonna do. Hi, puppy. Yes. You wanna say hi? Hi. Yeah. You spoiled brat, huh? No, birdie. Oh, now Bodie, you're jealous, huh? Sorry, Buster Brown. Birdie, she's attacking my mouse hand, so I can't click. What do you want? What? Go find your mom. No. No, down. Down. I'm not even going to mention how annoying it is that these aren't aligned properly. We just have to deal with that now. Like, there's nothing we can do about that. It's just... Holy shit. That's fucking frustrating. Okay. Myth is married. Wow. No, Phil is not married. So because the cylinder would just make it look the same anyway, we're going to not use the cylinder technique as far as rounding out like I discussed at the beginning. It's pretty much perfect. There's your arch. It's curved in like that. Theoretically, that should work. Oh. Didn't think about that. Well, this actually makes it easier than harder, believe it or not. Down, birdie. Go. How could it make it easier, Myth? I know none of you are actually paying attention to the logistics of this, but maybe one soul out there is actually paying attention to the important mathematical portion. And for that person, that is why I'm doing this. The rest of you are just here to speculate whether I'm married or not, I guess. Ah. It's kind of a little bit weird to have that lip like that. But actually, it's a little bit unavoidable with the way it seems. I'm willing to deal with that. That lip, I'm just gonna cut it off. Because it actually does not matter. Can't have something bother you if it's not there. And that doesn't take it away, so just gonna have to deal with that a little. I got it. Figured it out. There we go, no lip. Almost perfect.
Now we've created 2 smaller lips instead, but they're far less noticeable. Yeah, far less noticeable. Yeah, I think it's fine. Myth, just one cylinder will do? Clearly you're not familiar with cylinder theory. Never enough cylinders. Okay, and I forgot something else. But that's okay, because we still needed this individual part. Don't do it, Myth. What are you doing? Say goodbye to all our rod friends. Goodbye, rod friends. Thank you for taking 6 hours to be figured out. Oh wait, you know what I can do? If I was a scripter, I could just script something that says delete all bricks, name delete. I'm not a scripter. I'm not that privileged. Just a lowly builder. I can't just go down and delete them all, or else it'll delete the models. Goodbye, Rod. Thank you, Dan. Oh, I see. Abbastanza bene. Ugh. Yeah, hi Birdie. I know you like attention, but I'm busy right now, huh? Actually, just figured out how to get these to be exact. It's actually really good. It's really good news. What, Birdie? Now witness the magic of this plugin. Notice how they're all off. Aqueducts. Actually doesn't look bad. Not sure if I should move these or the pillars. I guess I move these. No, actually, I have to move the pillars. More pillar realignment time, everybody. No reason why that should be model. You know, I am going to get lazy and actually do something that fixes this without me having to do too much effort. For now, I'm just going to freelance it as best as I can. We're going to do a cover-up like the moon landing. So, usually builds like this, you know, builds won't usually take this much time. But of course, you have to consider this is a round thing, and when you're dealing with something that's circular, it's always going to be worse. Always going to be more difficult. Just always. Just nothing you can do about it. You just got to plan for it. And try to live your life the best as you can before it gets ruined by these.
Oh, wow. I've been muted this whole time, huh? Yeah, I accidentally did that. Wow. Anyway, if you didn't hear what I was explaining, I'm adding these white things to cover up for building errors that don't line up correctly, because you just spend all day fixing it. And, you know, it's really, there's a way to do it where you can make it all line up perfectly, but, you know, when I just tried to do it satisfactory earlier, and that took a long time, and I wasn't even trying to get it perfect. I was just trying to get it close to perfect, and it still took forever. So you have to do little things like this. These cover up your mistakes, and you just kind of cover it up as a stylistic choice. So now, like, personally, I probably would have liked it better without these white things, right? But without them, it looks worse because you have to see the errors. And because we moved those pillars off plane, because we moved those pillars off plane, now the things that are aligned are actually the arches and not the pillars themselves. So all that rod work, you think, oh well, now it's all useless. It's like, no, because we used the alignment of the pillars to decide where these are going to go. So now the arches are the ones that are in the alignment we want. And so, for those of you just joining us, I started 2 hours ago with just those pillars, and it took me that long to just organize them perfectly into this sort of, well, not even perfectly, there's mistakes, but into this, you know, base level floor of the Holy Sepulchre. This is the hardest part because it's the dome, right? And there might be another dome. I think there actually are multiple. This is the big one. Personally, the second one probably will be easier. No, I don't think there is a second dome, actually. Can you guys hear me all right now? Now watch this, guys. This is the fun part. This is where the fun begins. Look at that. So if I wanted to, I'd just stack these up and then call it a day, but each level is going to be a little bit different. That kind of gives you an idea of how it could look. I'm actually just going to do these pillars, the ones we did on the bottom level, and the rest are just going to be the plain ones. And they're going to be a little shorter too, so they're going to be progressively shorter. So the next level is actually going to be different, but I actually can keep these. Delete the pillars, or actually keep them, because I think what I'm just going to do just to provide some insight is just copy them like that, pull that down, and then boom, it totally replaces it. And that would take not much time at all, and then essentially move these down like that so they're a little bit less tall. And then you kind of give yourself a look at what it's going to look like when it's 2 levels. And then this is actually probably going to arch this one at the 2nd level here instead of the 1st level. Well, I might do the 1st level. Depends on how it works out. And then the next level after that is actually filled in arches, so they're not even open. And then the next level at that is again open arches. And then after that, it's the dome. So it comes up to the top. So the dome itself, actually, we're not too far away. I think another 2-hour session and the dome is complete. But then, you know, you have to put the interior detail in. And that's the hardest part. So we would have knocked out the hardest part. And, you know, that's good. So, delete that stuff. Any questions? Anything else? I think I'm going to call it. Certainly took a lot longer than I thought it would. So I apologize for that, but you guys got the insight of like what to do when things don't go perfect. And hopefully that was helpful. No terrain, no gain. Alright, well, if there's no questions or anything, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll be back in a week and a half to do another one. Won't be on tomorrow. I mean, maybe I'll do one tomorrow, but after that, I'm going abroad for a while, just a week and a half, so I will not be on recording, most likely. So just stay tuned, and I'll be back soon.